Welcome back to Anderson Alchemy. I'm your host, Brandy Anderson. And right now we're standing in one of the most potent seasons of the year. The air has shifted, the days are shorter, something in the atmosphere feels ancient, like the world is exhaling. October has always carried this strange beauty, a sweetness that's laced with death, a stillness that feels like a threshold. Everything in nature is letting go, and is doing so with an almost effortless grace. And maybe that's what this time of year is inviting us to remember, that death, in its truest sense, is just a doorway into becoming. It's a process, a sacred alchemy, the way life renews itself from the inside out. Every spiritual tradition and every mythic story knows the power of descent. Before there is illumination, there is always a journey into the dark. Before resurrection, there is crucifixion. Before rebirth, there is release. The alchemists call this first stage negredo, the blackening. It's the moment everything begins to fall apart, when identity starts to dissolve, when the things that once made sense suddenly don't. Psychologically, it's the time when the ego loses control, and the deeper self, that inner eternal intelligence, begins to take over the work. The descent isn't comfortable. It asks for surrender. It asks for honesty. It asks us to look at what's dying, not with fear, but with reverence. Because what's dying is usually the illusion of control. It's the false self we built to stay safe. It's the identities we outgrew but kept wearing out of habit. And so October comes as a mirror, a reminder that letting go isn't a punishment, it's a participation in the sacred rhythm of life itself. In alchemy, the process of transformation always moves through stages. First comes the breaking down, the negredo. Then the albedo, the whitening, the purification. And finally, the rubedo, the reddening, the integration. These stages aren't just chemical metaphors, they're mirrors of our own psychological evolution. The blackening happens when life brings us to our knees, when we lose the job, the relationship, the certainty, when the old pattern no longer holds. This is where the raw material of the soul begins to surface. Then comes the whitening, the illumination that follows surrender. It's the sudden clarity after grief, the deep breath after chaos, the light that appears once we've stopped fighting the dark. And then the reddening, the union of opposites, when we're no longer trying to be only light or only dark, but both, whole and alive. This is the alchemy that nature models for us every year. Everything dies, decomposes, and feeds new life. The soil itself is made of ancestors. Transformation is not abstract. It's embodied, cyclical, and ongoing. If we attune ourselves to the season, we can feel the same process happening within. The impulse to pull inward, to rest, to reflect, to simplify, to shed what's no longer needed. This is a time to ask yourself, what's trying to die in me right now? What old identity, story, or defense is ready to fall away? And am I willing to let it go gracefully, the way the trees let go of their leaves? So often we resist endings because we fear the emptiness that follows. But emptiness is never empty. It's fertile. It's the dark soil where the next version of your life will root itself. Just as nature's decay becomes compost, our own losses, when tended with awareness, become wisdom. They become the nutrient for the next season of growth. In that sense, October isn't just about death, it's about integration. It's about holding the mystery that life and death are not two forces in conflict, but two halves of the same eternal cycle. It is said that this is the time of year when the veil between worlds is thinnest, when the boundary between seen and unseen, living and dead softens. Whether you interpret that literally or symbolically, the essence is the same. This is the time to listen more deeply, to feel into the invisible. You might notice your dreams becoming more vivid, or old memories surfacing uninvited. You might feel your ancestors close, as the living presence of everything that has shaped you. Transformation always asks us to remember our roots, where we come from, what has died before us, and how we are the continuation of a much longer story. So if you feel the pull to light a candle, to speak to those who have crossed through the veil before you, to honor what's gone, follow that impulse. It's ancient, it's human, it's part of the great turning of the will. The real alchemy isn't what happens in books or rituals, it's how we live this process in the everyday, how we meet change, how we allow ourselves to be transformed by experience, and how we trust the intelligence of the dark. Maybe this October you're in a season of shedding. Maybe something in your life is dissolving, and you don't yet know what will take its place. If that's where you are, you're not off track. You're in the work. Transformation never happens in the light. It happens in the unseen, in the silence, in the places where you think nothing is happening. That's the paradox of alchemy. The death you fear is the doorway you've been asking for. The end you resist is the beginning that you prayed for. So this season, instead of trying to hold it all together, what if you let something fall apart? What if you honored what's leaving, not as failure, but as a part of the sacred rhythm that sustains everything? As we move through these darker months, remember that everything in nature trusts the cycle. The trees don't panic when their branches go bare. The soil doesn't mourn when harvest is given. All of it knows that death is not the opposite of life. It's the soil of life itself. You too are part of that rhythm. And whatever is dissolving right now, whatever is being taken or transformed, is making space for something more true, more whole, more you. This is the art of alchemy, not escape but embodiment, not control but surrender, not perfection but wholeness. So as October deepens and the veil grows thin, may you find the courage to let go, to listen, to descend, and to trust that in the dark something luminous is already taking shape. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Anderson Alchemy. If this reflection resonated with you, share it with someone who's moving through their own season of change. And until next time, honor the endings, tend the mystery, and remember that transformation is not something you do, it's something you allow. And as always, cosmic blessings and peace.